we broke even the first month. So I didn't even understand if there was, and it was all my savings. It's not as glamorous as they think it is just because it has so much of style and color and everything around. It's a lot of hard work.
People who come there will understand what this brand is, what we are trying to really sell. So once we get someone there, then they stick to the brand.
And we haven't done like literally zero publicity.
Zenoti presents Growth Diaries, the fascinating stories behind the best brands in beauty, wellness, and fitness.
Some businesses don't just offer services, they create experiences. And some founders don't just build brands, they build legacies. This is a story of a husband and wife duo who set out on a mission nearly 2 decades ago, not just to open a salon, but to redefine luxury beauty in India. What started as a single location soon evolved into Bubbles Salon, a name now synonymous with luxury hair and beauty services. But their vision extended far beyond the salon chair. Their passion for beauty and wellness led them to the next venture, Old School Rituals, a skincare brand that revives time-honored beauty traditions and blends them with modern science. What began as a personal quest for pure chemical-free products soon became a movement, redefining self-care with ingredients that are as authentic as they're effective. From curating indulgent salon experiences to crafting skincare that honors heritage, their story is one of passion, reinvention, and purpose. This is the journey of Bubbles Salon and Old School Rituals, founded by Smita Vallurupalli and Shashank Kancharla. So welcome to Growth Diaries, Shashank and Smita, and thanks for making the time to be part of this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Great. So I thought we should really start with you have a very unique founding story. You know, Smita, you used to actually be a very early stage in your career, very successful performing artist and had a busy life. And so what led you to get into doing this business, Bubbles?
I think most importantly, because I come from a family that's been in business for I'm the third generation in business, but I'm not doing the same business that my grandfather probably started, which is automobile. My parents were into retail and distribution and all of that. Grandfather in automobile, but I always wanted to do something on my own for sure. Now, though I was an artist, I think my mom kept saying this to me always, you know, when you have something else to do, which is your bread and butter, you don't have to treat art. When you don't treat art as a bread and butter providing profession, you'll be able to do the things that you really like and want, and not just take up work because you might have to take it up for whatever reasons. So I felt it was really, that was very important for me. And I think business was very natural. I went to work in my parents' offices when I was in 4th, 5th grade itself. I'd go from school, my evening hours would be going and working, selling products, learning. So we were into, so my parents were the first franchise for Titan in India. So after the first franchise in India, in fact, even in the Titan story, there's a little about how that all happened. So I was part of that I was probably 7 years old then when that happened. So I'd go to the showrooms and sell watches, sell jewelry. I was in all the trainings for Tanishq, from how they started as one rack in a Titan store to becoming one large jeweler in the country. So I think it was very interesting how I learned from what already was there when I was studying. And music, was more I would say God's gift more than learning it. I started learning only after I won competitions. And once I went to a point that I was the winner of a certain season, it's like, okay, maybe I can do this professionally. And I should learn it right in the right way to be able to perform. So
Right.
that's how that happened. And bubbles, like I said, mom always told me you have to have your eggs in different baskets. So I think it started there. And when I told her one day, I was sitting and talking to her, I said, there are no good salons in Hyderabad at that point, and there are a few which are probably in hotels, which are also very small format. They're not like large formats or, hygiene or product. They were not the focus. It was just a very functional. So she immediately said, it's a great idea. She just, I think one of Shashank's friends, she said, let's drive around, see Jubilee Hills. She went, identified this building in Jubilee Hills and said, this is the location and we're going to meet the building owners there. Uh, those building owners have become more like family, friends, and all of that now, our Jubilee Hills salon.
Because
So,
22 years now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was, yes, I was when we first signed the agreement with them, I was 21 or
Okay. Great.
22.
So
Yes.
at 21, it's interesting because,
Yeah.
even my kids never followed my, line of profession. I'm in software. They were like, okay, I'm going to do something else.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like you come from a family of entrepreneurs and you had your own family business. You could have chosen to be part of it, but you were particular to say, no, I'm going to go find my own way.
Always wanted to build our own brand.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I loved the experience there. I'll help whenever needed, whatever, wherever. But I always had this passion of building.
The beauty, wellness, and fitness industries touch our lives like no other industry does. And every brand that has succeeded in this industry has a wonderful story behind it. We have stories that engage, stories that we can learn from, stories that inspire all of us. And I'm here to bring you these stories and introduce you to the wonderful people behind these brands. So if you're enjoying this, do press like and hit the bell icon to subscribe, so you'll be the first to know when a new episode comes in. So the DNA was there from the early days of being an entrepreneur, doing something
Yeah.
on your own, and building a brand. So when you build Bubbles, obviously Bubbles is not a small salon, as you said. You were not trying to solve the problem of, okay, there are dingy small places in
Functional,
those
yeah.
days, functional things, but it was more of a luxury place and larger format and footprint. So when you started that, then what did you have to look out for to provide that level? Because even finding staff who understands what it means to cater at that level would have been hard in those days, right?
So initially, when we put down the list of services, there were just a handful back then, right? There's not like now the menu has 300 services, and I'm wondering, oh my God, like I didn't even know of so many services back then. I literally knew 10, 12 things. And the only thing, I had very long hair back then. The most, I used to go for a hair wash. That was my thing. And so beyond that, I had very little knowledge, but I felt like there was a need. I don't know, sometimes we were in the right place, right time, maybe the right intention, direction. I started with very, very little information or clue. Everything started falling in place. I remember the first 3 months, people around me were telling me that somebody is laughing about how someone will run something this big. Apparently, you're planning to sell it off. Apparently, you want to give it off. You're shutting down. I had no idea how to react. I was so young. I really didn't know what to do with that information. We broke even the first month. So I didn't even understand if there was, and it was all my savings. Though my parents did help me a little bit with the investment, it was mostly my savings that I put into the first branch. So I was telling mom that, oh my God, I'm losing all my savings. She said, don't worry. If something happens, I will take care of it. And then second day, third day, fourth day, every day the numbers were increasing. She called and said, okay, you'll give it off to me now. I said, no, this is mine. So, yeah, it was interesting how we started. Yes, staff training. In fact, I think we were the first ones in the business to start incentivizing, because I felt like they should be partners in the business, and that's when they, take ownership, learn, do. My interest was always to bring in better products, better service, and it was very, very difficult to find products to use in salons which were high end at that point. Even a brand like L'Oreal had very like handful number of SKUs at that point. Now they have so many things happening, multiple brands under it. I think more than anything, it was the absolute right time that we started.
So timing was right, and also I guess the model of incentivizing your staff was important in those early days to make them win. But as you expanded, Shashank, you stuck to your stores, in one state. You didn't go off to all the states or Hyderabad. Can you give a little bit more color on why you chose to say, no, I'm going to stay focused in a narrow space, and how that happened?
So if you see, our brand has been in large format from the beginning. And today, our smallest store is 3,500 square feet, and most of our stores are 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. And when you talk about large format, for it to properly, get streamlined and settled, we used to give that time and then settle in a location. Then we realized that we have to expand only in places where we have a right target audience.
And also control of operations, more than the target
and control of
audience.
operations. So we started spreading in AP and Telangana. There's good enough place where we can expand. So we went to Vijayawada, we went to Vizag, we went to Guntur, different cities in AP and Telangana. And then I started studying the market outside, like Bangalore, Chennai. Then I understood that if we have to expand in those locations, we have to unlearn everything that we learned in AP and Telangana, because culturally they are different. You have to unlearn and adapt. So we thought, there is enough market here. Let us expand here. Then eventually, maybe in future, we'll get into that.
And also, and also, I think one more thing was that we were noticing the pattern of people coming from different states and trying to establish in AP and Telangana, and how they're struggling. It's not as easy as how it was in their home states. So there must be a reason or a story behind it. And
it's mostly cultural thing, is what I strongly believe.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I mean, the cultural aspects, especially in India, from state to state are very radically different. So not that you can't start it, or to your point earlier, your operations and profitability and scalability may get impacted, where you won't be as successful in terms of the quality of the business that you have when you go to other stores in other states. And we've seen this even in the US, like we have very reputed stylists like Van Michael, very well regarded, but sticks to Atlanta because he feels like, I understand Atlanta, I know the city, I know the people, and has built a immensely successful business by just sticking to one city.
True.
Yeah. Great. And so as you were growing your business in terms of, customer loyalty and things like that, what kind of instruments or mechanisms did you come up with? Early days, of course, as you said, you were, profitable very quickly, but of course, as you're becoming bigger, you get more competition from out of town, as you said.
So one thing before he starts off on this is between the two of us, like you said, we work on very different aspects. So when 10 years, I think 9 years after Bubbles started was when he got fully involved in the brand and expansions. And most expansions happened after Shashank also got involved. And we were about four or five before he came. And then it expanded into more. He brings in systems. He's a day-to-day operations guy. He has charts, he has numbers, he has this, that. To me, after I see numbers beyond a certain amount of time, he says that's your mental block. You can actually do it. But then I probably choose to say that I have a problem with it. It's convenient for me. It's not something I love doing. I'm the creative person. I'm into creating spaces, ideas, concepts, building brands. That part of it is mine. R&D, whatever has something exciting that I can do every day is what I love. Whatever is boring is all his work.
Yeah.
But the boring part is needed in order to bring in numbers for the creative part to keep going. So I don't get involved unless he calls for my involvement in certain areas. So over to him on all the
Yeah,
operations.
and so that's very true. I find that always in a business like here, I mean, whether it's of course rare that it's husband-wife because
Yeah.
there can be problems with husband and wife working together 24 by
We
7.
still do have problems. It's not like we don't, but we avoid the problems.
Yeah. But having the clarity of roles where somebody really runs focus on scale and operations while somebody focuses on the actual service and the quality of what we are trying to do helps the business to flourish. And I think that's good that has worked out for you in terms of the roles. So coming back to the operational front, like, in terms of retaining loyalty, getting people to come back and all that, what kind of programs and instruments did you have to come up?
See, initially, very, very early, we realized that one of the major customer retention aspect of this business is um, having less iteration, employee iteration. And because customers come back for that stylist or that beautician because they're used to it, used to him or her, and that is what also helps in retention of the customer. So from the beginning, we focused on that. We were giving best salaries in the industry in this region. We were incentivizing them well, and we were fully focusing on training them. So our employees used to see that growth in them, skill wise, monetary wise. They were seeing that growth and they're sticking with us. And that helped us in retention initially. But
So it's interesting. Many people will answer the retention question with other loyalty points and memberships and all that. But you're so right. You're so right that retention comes down to employee retention first and how you take care of staff. And that's the first step.
Correct.
Go on.
So that's the fundamental thing. Then beyond that, when we started adapting technology, when we got it was very challenging initially. When we want to introduce even Zenoti first time, we were using a accounting software at that time. And my staff were very comfortable. They don't even see into the system. They just type. They're so comfortable with that software. And I went through, it was very initial stage. I think Zenoti just started. The initial team came.
My spa.
Yes.
Yeah, managed by spa. And then the team came. I was very impressed with the software. And I said, we'll adapt this. I signed up. And then I got the systems in and put it. Then suddenly my staff said, we cannot use it. Some people said they'll leave if we want to use this new software. Then I didn't know, without employees buy-in, you cannot implement anything. So slowly I said, okay, fine, you do your you use the earlier software, but give me the reports I want. And every day I used to ask them one report or other.
That's not available.
It's not available.
The accounting software.
And they used to struggle. After 3 months, they came back and said, sir, you talked about some software earlier. Can you get, can we get that?
Very smart way to get it done.
So then we adapted. So like that, slowly we started doing loyalty. We have a tier-based loyalty, depending on the spend. And then the program and all happens. But most of the time, it is fundamentals that holds everything very, very strong is what we believe.
Cool. Great. Yeah.
Go on. So while Shashank was talking about how that staff retention, all of that, I also believe that the organization is beyond. I always keep telling my staff, even if I'm not there tomorrow, this has to run. The organization is bigger than an individual. So we give them everything that is needed and we take care of them. In fact, even during COVID, when a lot of people lost their jobs across all industries, We did not cut. We
didn't remove even one employee.
One employee during that time. We made sure the basic paid employees got their full salaries. We made sure all of those who were drawing very high salaries had to take a little cut, but they didn't find it painful because they were basically not working those couple of months at all. But nobody, in fact, we were paying rents, we were paying salaries. So much expenses with zero income at that point. I said, it's okay. This is what we have to do for our staff. So I think we do make sure we're very human when it comes to handling people and team. But even if somebody goes, nothing changes. It only improves is what I believe in. So nothing is dependent on one person, whether it's him, me, or a staff member. That's how I personally look at it. If they see value in the organization and what they're getting, they'll stay. That's how.
Definitely, I think systems and processes become important
Yeah.
as you become bigger.
Yeah.
But it's nice to hear about the, during COVID, obviously the most impacted would be the actual service providers who don't make much money at all, right? So I think covering their basic needs during that time would have earned.
No, but that really works out very well for the organization because in two ways. One is when the market, a lot of salons closed and we are fully capacitized, we were able to take a lot more new customers during that time. And people wanted to come to a safe place, hygienic place.
And you were more of a more luxury. And
So people were upgrading quickly. And luckily, it worked very well. We could acquire a lot of new customers during that time. And the second is the employee.
As a strategy, he got out the other side. Yeah, it just
it happened to work
worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out that way. Yeah.
Great. Then the second one is employees are even more attached now with the company because they could see what's happening in the market versus how we dealt with it. So that
earned you a lot of mileage with all your staff, etc. That's great. I think they say when crisis times come, there are opportunity times for entrepreneurs to do well versus being negative if you think through it properly. So you clearly converted that to an opportunity. And I loved your example. I should tell a lot of people have this problem with software adoption because staff resists. With many of our early sign up, people sign up, then they start implementing, and then the staff is all in fight. I like your idea that I should tell that to other owners saying, okay, fine, let's park it for 3 months. You go ask them for there were benefits you were hoping for, ask them those questions and see what they say after 3 months. Great.
Growth Diaries is brought to you by Zenoti, the software trusted by over 30,000 salons, spas, med spas, and fitness studios.
Great. So as part of this journey, obviously you started this, as you said, by seeing a need and a passion for beauty and wellness as well. And, but you also ventured quite a bit into, we did reference about design and, coming up with innovating and new things, etc. But you've gotten into a whole retail space, complete new thing, which is pretty rare in terms of your approach to retail and what products you're trying to build and, friendly products, nature-friendly products, etc. Maybe you should give some color how you ended up into that area.
So long back, even before, maybe in the first few years of Bubbles operation starting, I traveled asked my dad to take me to travel with me. We went to Singapore. There was this beauty expo where there was players from across the globe who came and displayed their product and all of that. We looked everywhere. I said, spoke to a couple of people in those expos, the stalls. Somehow nothing really stuck to me and I didn't feel like, okay, this is what we have to take back to India. Back then, before starting Old School, I thought making a product was rocket science. Only when you jump into something, you know that, okay, it is not rocket science.
Even I would assume formulating a product
is...
How am I going to do this? Right?
Yeah. So I think it's about understanding, knowing how to start off. And I think what helped us the most, I was always looking out for new products, new experiences. And when I couldn't find what I was stuck to, and that I couldn't go back and keep buying. I said, why not we start working on something? And we started from home, the home kitchen. And I personally am a very old school person. I really love, I still remember my Nainama, who's my dad's mother. She passed away when I was 6 years old, but I have clear memories of everything that she would do with me when I was a toddler, a baby. Like the nalgu, the uptan, the ritual, the oil massaging, all of that happened. And like, where is it all gone? None of us really, I mean, I did with my baby, with my infant for a few months, few years actually. But after that, it all, like, not too many households do that anymore. Not too many people have the time for it. How many grandmothers are also so modern now? And I don't know how many of them have the energy to put together all these old formulas. I felt like there should be somebody who's bridging the gap between generations. One more generation, we leave this and it'll all be forgotten. And somebody will say, oh, once upon a time that was, we did that. We're like, let's not get to once upon a time. Let's do it again. And, identify, research, study ingredients from different parts of the country that work for certain things. It could be herbs, fruit, vegetables, nuts, oils, what works best for what were these ancient ingredients. So I almost did, I don't probably have a degree in that science part of it, but I've learned it, like, you learn more when you're actually doing a business than in an MBA school, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's how the whole old school, I did have expert help, advice, but a lot of it was ingredients. I would wake up one day and say, let's make this and try this ingredient and send it out to people. So we had real customers, audience, friends who tried out each of these products and gave feedback. We took 7 years before actually putting it out in the market to sell, because we wanted those many number of people actually using it and giving us feedback. Bubbles really helped us to a large extent in identifying what was good, gave us confidence. The first step was, okay, let's make facial kits, pedicure kits, body polish kits. It's this in, for example, we have red sandalwood as one ingredient, as a active prime ingredient, but there are 10, 12, 20 other ingredients also in it, but that's our line. And with that, how do you make like the most, and people have this notion that natural products don't work immediately, and chemicals immediately give you some glow or something like that. We wanted to kind of get people to say themselves that no, this is instant.
Yeah.
This works. So I think the target for me, because I had to convince my staff.
And quite appropriately, you named it as old school. It goes back to the brand itself, because it goes back to our grandparents and others in terms of natural products that we used to use. And even I remember growing up in my village and my grandma, like, I didn't use a shampoo. They used to have,
Yeah.
they would grind it and then use that for shampoo. And, we've
Now
lost.
we made a powdered shampoo,
Yeah.
which is our top seller.
Absolutely. Like, so it has everything that our 63 herb oil has, plus it lathers.
Great.
So the old kunkurgai, the shikai, whatever we all call it in different states and languages, it didn't lather too much and was very rough also on the hair, like after it's done. We made sure that all those old problems were taken care of. At the same time, we don't include the new chemicals, which are, it's paraben, silicon, all free of sulfate, paraben, silicon. Normally, paraben, sulfate, a lot of people can avoid in a shampoo, but silicons are very hard to avoid in a shampoo. So the powder helped us avoid even that. And I think personally, so when I was traveling 3 days for on a trip, and I forgot to carry that shampoo. So I had to get a distributor from Chennai when I landed to send one to the airport, because it just gives me that feeling of, okay, now my scalp and hair is fresh.
Sure.
So I think that was what was most important. It is, if we like it, I was sure that others will like it too.
And it's interesting that you actually formulated all this on your own. As you said, you had to learn everything along the way because you had a business goal. And I think that's what I remind some people, even like Elon Musk. He didn't know anything about space technology, but he went and learned a lot of stuff on his own along the way. And I think when you have a business need, you tend to go out, figure things out rather than just college. But now that the product was there, I mean, you obviously had bubbles, which helped you with seeing how the customer reaction is and all that stuff. So, Shashank, how did you go about scaling it? Now you're to sell this product, you have channels and various places to sell. What were the strategies you've done for selling retail?
So basically, when we want to get into retail, we initially thought of 5 channels of revenue. One is we have our own website, and we started off with that website. Then we onboarded onto marketplace platforms like Amazon, Nykaa, Tata Click, Myntra, and all these platforms. The third is our B2B. So we have 22 years of experience in this beauty and wellness space. And we were sitting on the other side of the table. So we know what is required by salons, where will it fill a gap, where will it increase the overall revenue, or upgrade their own customers. So we created these service kits and retail products which can be sold to other salons. That's our B2B line. Today we just started that thing, and apart from bubbles, we are into more than 30 salons already. And we also have another separate vertical for gifting. So today there is a lot of gap in the market for innovative gifting. And especially when it's old school, you have something for babies, infants, babies to all ages. And then we also started, the fifth vertical is we started our own experience centers. This is more like a retail store, but you can also experience service.
It's like a holistic experience. It could be naturopathy to therapy to body polishes.
Yeah.
We have this Nalugu is what we call a ritual for babies. So, and we also infuse crystal energy into oils for a certain result. Or if someone's looking for, we have about 9 variations. It's from glow to emotional, this to feminine energy, to creative energy, to power, to work, different kinds of oils. So we worked with crystals. I studied that subject with a friend's help of a friend. Then we infuse that energy into the oil. So we have that as a different vertical. We also have crystals in the Brindavanam. It's called Old School Brindavanam.
Experience Center mainly brings out the essence of our brand. People who come there will understand what this brand is, what we are trying to, really sell. So once we get someone there, then they stick to the brand.
And we haven't done like literally zero publicity, I would say, for that. And it's on its own, like from the first month, which was very interesting because I think people come there saying that in the middle of the city, there's this place that feels like you're not in the middle of so much chaos, and you walk out as a very calm person.
And that's interesting. The whole experience center concept is a bit unique. And also, I think that helps, in that people tend to trust, actual providers and, people who are in the industry, aestheticians, for any suggestions and care. So when you go talk to the experience center, they probably trust them more than seeing an ad and buying paper or something like that. So that helps. And so, building a business with the scale and very high end in terms of having enough traffic for businesses is obviously requires a lot of customer flow and footfall. So what kind of things have you had to do from a marketing perspective to drive that kind of footfall in your salons?
So from the beginning, we never were into any mass media advertising, like hoardings or, pop-ups or even print media. Initially, very, very initially, it was going mainly on word of mouth for us. Then we adapted social media marketing very, very early, when just Facebook, Insta was not even that popular at that time. So we were using a lot of social media posts, and we were the call to action used to be either to our website or to our chat bot or to a WhatsApp. And then we have a customer care team who gathers all the leads and then converts them into appointments. Now we do a lot of performance marketing through different mediums, Google or Insta and Facebook, and we get quite a good amount of leads which are to be converted. Now we also do automated, systems like, for example, a customer has booked an appointment but never turned up. So we will use loyalty points to get them in and then see that they're trying our service for the first time. So we focus a lot on the new customer acquisition on a month-on-month basis.
Yeah.
We keep a track of how many new customers versus existing customers, what is the ratio, and we maintain that the healthy ratio is maintained over a period.
The beauty, wellness, and fitness industries touch our lives like no other industry does. And every brand that has succeeded in this industry has a wonderful story behind it. We have stories that engage, stories that we can learn from, stories that inspire all of us. And I'm here to bring you these stories and introduce you to the wonderful people behind these brands. So if you're enjoying this, do press like and hit the bell icon to subscribe, so you'll be the first to know when a new episode comes in. So I think there's a combination, of course. First, getting the lead is primarily social media has worked well.
Correct.
But then having a team within the group, within the company,
For converting.
which is focused on that conversion, who has goals in that area, helps you. So you have avoided large media spends based on the strategy. Okay. So I'm also surprised, because I would have thought in India it's unavoidable. You have to go spend some money on marketing and ads. But the fact that social media alone could be a big driver. And I guess since you're more of a luxury space, it's also word of mouth counts,
Yeah.
because the experience has to.
I think more of that than everything else. Yeah,
it works very well, word of mouth, because we always try to give experiences. So a lot of people, when they experience that, they won't go back to their regular, place where they used to get things done.
And do you have any referral programs or gifting programs for the services as well?
I think gift cards.
Yeah, we have gift
but
cards.
not like a referral program as such.
We do referral as a campaign once in a while.
Okay.
But we have a lot of gift cards and gift vouchers and digital gifting and all that we promote.
Great. Okay, I'll move into a series of few other questions, right? So looking back at as you built this business, is there something that you would do differently now?
So, I think with every profession, not just in this business, when you first start, you start with very little information and very less competition. Right? Even as actors, if you see the same actor 40 years ago, if somebody got into the industry, versus if the same person has to come in today, they have to be prepared with a lot more than they did 40 years ago.
Yes.
Because of the amount of technology, social media, you're connected to audience so much more. I think it's having all that in mind, I think there would have been a lot more work that would have gone into even before starting a branch. Like with the information I had 20 years ago, I don't think I can start this business. Then, there's nothing else. So whatever you're doing is great. But today there's so much going on in the market. You need to know it's not just something you're doing for time pass. If you're a serious business person, you really need to understand what goes into making something like this happen. I think you need to be a customer first to understand what another customer would really expect from. I wouldn't have done this if I had to start this now.
That's being pretty humble about the fact that being grounded, saying, okay, man, if I did this today, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
So having said that, you were expanding. I don't know if you want to expand on, if somebody were trying to be an entrepreneur today in this industry, what advice would you give them?
It's not as glamorous as They think it is just because it has so much of style and color and, everything around. It's actually a lot of hard work. It's not that easy. At the same time, I'm not discouraging someone from getting into this business, because it is going to multiply clearly. But you got to do everything right. You got to have your research right, your math right, if you want to be a long-term player here.
Yeah. I think, it's the key thing what you said, which is if you want to get in, it's very competitive now. So you have to be a long-term player and be prepared.
Prepared with everything.
Research,
Yeah.
And is there a company or something that you admire most? Doesn't need to be in our space, but is there something that stands out that you both look to and say, oh, that's a beautiful company?
So in general, as a group, we love how Tata's, any Tata Group company.
I think
and that too, say the family is also associated with Tanishq, Titan and all. We see them at close quarters.
Mm-hmm.
The culture and how you give importance to culture and then everything else falls in place is what we see and really admire from them, and try to adapt a little bit of that in our own way.
Right. So it's interesting. Both of you said culture at the same time.
No, we're very different people, but at the core, we are very similar. Which is also helping us stay together. Because, many things are very similar, but complete opposites in a lot of things.
Well, that leads me to the other question, which is, then is there a particular trait of yours that you think has helped you as you built Bubbles?
I think for me, it is intuition and my gut feeling. And if you ask me, put numbers down and make a chart and explain, I will tell you all of that, but it will come from here. It will not come from, and he does not understand that. I wonder if he has one sometimes. And
So
I'm like, to stop.
My background was from electronic security and all those kind of businesses. And for me, after I entered Bubbles, after 8 years of its operation, I entered Bubbles. I started realizing that I love customer-facing businesses so much.
Yeah, he uses more products than I, by the way, just for information. He's a bigger retail.
So I like how I like to understand that customer interactions, the data, how it flows and what things that we have to plug in. And when it works, it gives you so much of happiness. So I think I started liking. I was always into B2B kind of businesses earlier. So this one was a great experience, and I think I love it more than anything else now.
It's great that you both can balance each other, because, intuition and gut is very hard for people to listen to. It's a skill which is hard. We don't know what's intuition versus what's a whim. Being able to decipher the two is very challenging for all.
I mean, old school wouldn't have happened if that wasn't strong.
Yes, because that is a bold thing to go and build a brand and etc. Great. So, thanks a lot again for being here as part of Growth Diaries, and congratulations to an awesome business that you built, because I've seen your business, one of the few businesses, grow along with Zenoti kind of thing, and it has been a journey for you also.
It's really, it's wonderful to see how Zenoti has grown.
It's so.
For us, manage my spa software to how you have thousands of employees today. It's
and also how the product evolved. I've seen it from the very, very first initial days to now, and it came out so beautifully. Today, if someone in this industry wants to adapt it, they don't need to think twice. That's the kind of detailing that went into this.
I would agree with your comment. I also tell people, I don't think if I went out as Zenoti today and tried to compete with Zenoti, I know, because I would fail. To your point, my first product was pretty pathetic, and it took time to evolve to where we are. It's great.
The evolution was great.
Great. Thanks a lot for the time.
Thank you.
Growth Diaries is brought to you by Zenoti.